Good morning, John.
Morning.
Okay, good morning, Araya. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am well. I put in the chat what we're doing today. And as I told you Tuesday, we are going to continuously review and assess the skills that you covered to reinforce them and hopefully to instill those rules and knowledge into your study skills or English repertoire. And so, as I stated on Monday, whew, I got to get these classes together. You're going to have an assessment, a mini assessment on sentence fragments, which in this case is the comma splice and run-ons. I have typed 20 sentences. You're going to read each sentence slowly and carefully, and you're going to decide if it is a good sentence, if the sentence is correct as it is, and if so, you're going to type in all caps COR. If the sentence is a run on sentence, you're going to type capital RO. And if the sentence shows a comma splice, then you're going to type capital CS. Now, normally I do a minute, a question, but this time I decided to give you a little more time so that that would alleviate the stress. I need you to do well. So I am going to be quiet. I'm going to let you review again the information that we covered on identifying a complete sentence, which has a subject and a verb and it completes makes a complete thought, a fragment, which is probably missing a subject and or a verb and does not make a complete thought, and a run on, which is two sentences joined together without adequate punctuation or no punctuation. This is a review. I am not going to reteach what we've already covered, but I want to make sure that you are understanding moving forward. And after that, we're going to go over the basics of paragraphs. We're going to go over the paragraph structure because we're at the halfway mark next week. And you guys are going to have to be writing paragraphs every week to get the practice in writing a topic sentence, writing supporting details, including examples, and ending with a concluding or clincher sentence. That's what you must do. That's why we're going over organizational patterns today. So without further ado, I have given you 1/2 hour to complete a 20-item assessment, and I expect everybody to have a B or better on this assignment. So I'm going to give you the time to review if you need to, even though I told you last Monday, and then it will appear at 11:15. It will appear that will be the only thing that will be appearing at 11:15. So that has to be it. It is called run-ons. It says quiz, run-ons, and comma splices. At 11:15, you will have 1/2 hour to do it, so you won't be stressed. If you finish early, then take that as an opportunity to stand and stretch and so forth. Your grade will show up at 11:45, and that's when I will return to the class. Okay, everybody got it? Natia, you came a little late. Do you have it? Miss Clark. Miss Clark. At any rate, if someone else, who else joins later lot, tell them to look at the chat because I won't be back on until 11:45. Good luck. I expect A's and B's on this assignment.
Is the assignment up here or are we waiting?
Hello? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you, but I guess you had a little trouble signing on. And
yeah,
I
my
said,
computer was frozen. I was trying to unmute myself. You said to review the comma splices and run-ons and the subject and subject, the whatever, what is it, the verbs and subjects, right?
no, just that you need to know a complete sentence when you see it.
Right. And you said to review that, right? But by 11:15.
11:15, the quiz will show up on Blackboard under quizzes and exams as they normally do. And you will have 30 minutes. It's in the chat. I gave you 30 minutes this time instead of a minute a question. But now this is review. You've already studied it last week, but I told you I'm going to keep going back and assessing you on your knowledge of these skills because it's very important when you move on that you have this under your belt. So I won't be saying anything else to anybody until 11:45 when the quiz disappears and your grade shows up, okay? Okay, scholars, I hope that went well for you. And you got that A or B that I wanted you to get. And so we're going to go on with the rest of our class. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is make sure you have your notebook open and all that, because I want you to write down the paragraph structure. I know that every paragraph begins with a topic sentence. Last week, I gave you the 4 qualities of effective writing, which is to make a point, organize the support, make a point, support the point, organize the support, and write error-free sentences. So I know you know the 4 qualities and you know what you should do, but I want you to write that down so that you'll have a clear picture in your mind of how this paragraph structuring has to go, because you're going to be practicing all modes of writing paragraphs. So let me get to that right quick. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, here it is. Slipped it. What the heck happened? Technology is something else. It's good sometimes and terrible other times. Okay, let me go back to this. Let me see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to make it large so I can see it. And I do want you to write this information down. You don't have to write everything, just the main points and enough information that you know it, because I'm going to assume that you've written it down so that I can be looking for that format. There will be no excuse. Again, you probably know this. I'm assuming that you as scholars already know this. I am just reinforcing what it is that's in your textbook. Next chapter is going to be about those organizational patterns, and they have examples in chapter 7 about text structure. And so I am reinforcing that ahead of time. So again, you're going to write basic paragraph format. And of course, you already know that a paragraph is several sentences, about 200 words plus, that discusses one idea in detail and develops that topic. So for an essay, it will be thesis statement that gives the main idea of the paragraph, of the essay, and for a paragraph, it's the topic sentence. Okay, so of course it does say that paragraphs vary in length depending on the purpose of the paragraph. But what my purposes is that everybody gets it in writing. I'm using all modalities. You're looking at it, you're listening to me, and you're writing it down. All of the modalities are being addressed at this time. So what's the parts of a paragraph that you already know? So you're going to have parts of a paragraph. And again, the 3 parts of a paragraph are really the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. The 3 structure, each paragraph is constructed with the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So what does that look like? That would look like the topic sentence, your supporting details, and under that, you're going to put major and minor details and a concluding sentence. That's what I need you to write. So if you see on a multiple choice quiz that I may be giving you next week, what are the 3 parts of a paragraph? You're going to have to choose introduction, body, and conclusion. However, if I'm explaining it in details, like what it looks like, The first part will be the topic sentence, your supporting details, and under that, you're going to put major and minor details and your concluding sentence. Everybody got that? And again, as I've already said, the topic sentence is generally the first sentence of a paragraph, and all of the other sentences support that idea. So you're going to start with topic sentence, and the definition is it gives the central or main idea of the paragraph. You already know that, but write that down. And then you're going to write supporting details. And what do? They elaborate, prove, and explain the main idea. And then I definitely need you to write down how you explain and support the main idea. And I've already mentioned that earlier, but these are additional ways that you support the topic sentence or main idea of a paragraph, and that is with expert opinion. So you may have some quotes from experts, facts and statistics, your own personal experiences, which will look like testimonies or anecdotes, as I said, other experience, others, illustrations, brief stories, research studies, etc. All these things that I talked about, but those are additional ways that you will be supporting your paragraph. And finally, you're going to have that concluding or clincher sentence. Now, the reason that I'm saying both, because you may see different terminology, and you need to know that concluding sentence is the same thing as a clincher. You probably saw a clincher sentence most likely when you were in high school. And the clincher sentence serves two purposes. Okay. And one, it is summarizing. So two purposes. It says each paragraph should end with a final statement that ties together the ideas in the paragraph. So you want to say it summarizes the main idea of the paragraph in different words. Or the second one is the last system. It transitions to the ideas in the next paragraph. So there are two functions of the concluding or clincher sentence: summarizing the main idea of the paragraph, or two, transitioning to the subsequent paragraph. And you need to know that. That's the function. Okay. And then they have a little example here. Of course, as I said, going forth in college, your paragraphs are going to be 8 to 10 sentences. It won't be short and pretty. You'll probably have to have 4 major reasons, followed by a couple of examples for each of the major reasons or major details. The minor details are the examples to support the major detail. And then your concluding sentence. So in this one, it says the topic sentence is the root cause of childhood attention deficit disorder, or ADD, is difficult to determine since many biological, genetic, and environmental factors may contribute. So the topic sentence is about the root causes of ADD. Then they go on to explain it with their supporting detail. So it says while, and you see that word, we already know those dependent words, those phrases that we talked about that we can put. It says while genetics can help explain the prevalence of ADD in children and families, they do not necessarily explain its cause. Then it goes on, environmental factors such as social interaction, attachment, and other factors can also play a huge role in the development of ADD, which are not necessarily its roots, according to gray one. So that's the second thing that talks about it's not the root cause. There are other things. And then it says, research suggests that genetic and environmental interactions may both be important in conditioning the risk of ADD as well as its severity and progression. So then they want to sum this all up with what they talked about being some of the root causes or why it's difficult to determine the cause, specifically ADD. It says in the classic question of nature versus nurture, the answers appear to be both. So it could be some genetic as well as environmental factors. So they sum that all up in that paragraph. So again, you should have written the basic paragraph format, definition of a paragraph, parts of a paragraph, like the 3 parts, and then the specific structure of topic sentence, supporting details, and concluding a clincher sentence. Tell me what's contained in the topic sentence, supporting details. These are the things that you will find in supporting details to support the point, and then the function of the concluding or clincher sentence. That's what you should have in your notes thus far. Now I'm going to take the time, I'm going to review, let me see, patterns of organization again. I had you do this. I want you to look at that because you're going to write down what is considered a good paragraph, the things you should talk about, and the types of paragraphs that I sent you via email. If you remember this, I sent this to your email. Did everybody get it?
Yes.
Okay, so remember I had you write down these patterns like cause and effects, and this shows the signal words and gave you an example. So it's cause and effect, classification, listing of items, chronological, which is the same thing as time, order, or sequence, process, putting things in steps, comparison and contrast you are familiar with, order of importance, and I said they were 2 kinds, from most important to least important, or least important to most important, order of importance. It's also called sometimes emphatic order. And problem and solution. You have a problem or issue, and then it talks about the solution. And then you talk about spatial order, which deals with space, just like it says, below, behind, beneath, adjacent, etc. So that's just a review of that. And now I'm going to show you a short video that goes over some, because the video doesn't show, but I picked this one, and I want you to number from 1 to 5 now on your paper. I picked this video is because after it explains, and I think this one only talks about 7, there are more than 7 orders of organizational patterns. But this one I like because after it explains and gives you an example, it gives you a test at the end. So I want you to number from 1 to 5, because I'm going to have you write down the answers if you can identify the organizational pattern. Trust and believe you're probably going to have a quiz on Monday that deals with organizational patterns. So please be aware that I'm going to assess you on organizational patterns. So read that handout. Make sure if there's any other thing, you can Google organizational patterns if that's not clear enough. I thought that was the most concise one for you. So I'm going to get the video in just a second. It'll take me a minute to do that. Okay. Organizational patterns. Oops. patterns. Let me see if the one I want comes up. Yes. All righty. Okay, now I got to go back. Applications. Go to Chrome. Share. Okay, can you all see the screen on organizational patterns?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now pay attention. You're gonna have a 5-item quiz once this video finishes.
Also known as text structure. Text structure or organizational patterns is how a passage is organized. All texts are organized in one of the following 8 patterns of organization: chronological, compare and contrast, order of importance, sequence, spatial, cause and effect, problem and solution, and topical. The first type is chronological. Chronological means in order of time, chrono meaning time. Chronological things are arranged in order of time. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Most stories are organized chronologically. Please take a minute to jot down the graphic organizer in your notes. The next type of text structure is compare and contrast. This explores the similarities and differences of 2 or more things. Signal words that may help decide what type of text structure it is include like, unlike, both, neither, similar, and different. For example, you have some apples and oranges. They are both alike because they are both fruit, they both have skin, and they both are healthy. They are different because oranges have more acid and apples have thinner skin. The next type of text structure is order of importance. Ideas or steps are prioritized according to hierarchy of value, most important to least important. For the example, you have a president of a company. Below the president, you have its board members, and below the board members, you have the regional manager, most important to least important. The next type is sequence. Information is organized by the order in which it occurs. Information ordered sequentially does not occur at any specific time, but rather any time. Signal words include first, next, before, lastly, and then. For example, let's say you're going to make some cookies. First, you have to get your materials, then you have to make your dough, and then you have to cook your dough. You do not have to do these things at any specific time, but you have to do them in order. The next type is spatial, when information in a passage is organized in order of space or location. This type of text structure is often used in descriptive writing. Signal words include next to, behind, across from, below that, above that, and to the right of. Here is a diagram of something that is spatial text structure. The next type is cause and effect. Cause and effect explains the reasons why something happened, or it may explain the effects of something. Signal words that may help indicate if it is cause and effect include because, as a result, resulted, caused, affected, and effect. For example, if you were talking about a war in history class, there might be 3 causes of that war, and then there's an effect or an outcome of the war. The next type is problem and solution. Information in a passage is expressed as a problem or dilemma. You are looking for both a problem and solution for this type of text structure. Signal words that may help indicate it is problem and solution include proposes, suggests, solution, answer, remedy, prevention, and fix. For example, you might have a problem and you might have 2 solutions to help fix that problem. The last type of text structure is topical. This pattern is the most commonly used format and will typically work when the other patterns do not. A typical pattern arranges information according to different subtopics within a larger topic, or the types of things that fall within a larger category. For an example, an outline for information would be a good example of something topical. Now for some practice. Please number your paper from 1 to 5 in your notebook. As I read the passage, please decide what type of text structure it is and write it down in your notebook. Text 1. Why do we have schools? Education in our society serves many purposes, but there are 3 main functions. First, students learn skills that will help prepare them for society. Writing, reading, and mathematics are essential in today's workplace, and many people learn these skills in school. Second, schools serve communities, whether by functioning as polling locations during elections or providing safe havens for students in temporary living situations. Public schools add value to communities. Third, public schools provide a structured environment for children to engage in productive activities during many days of the year while their adult caretakers may be working. In other words, public schools also provide daycare. These are the 3 of the primary reasons why we have schools in our society. Please.
Okay, write down what pattern you think that is. What organizational pattern do you think that is, or what structure? Let me know when you're done so I can continue. Everybody done?
1 second.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me see if you were right.
Hello everyone, we meet again in this. Hello everyone, we meet again in this.
Whoa, Lord have mercy.
Write down your answer.
Okay.
The correct answer is cause and effect.
Okay. How many got that
Text
right?
number 2, milestones. In 1821, the first public high school in the United States was started in Boston. By 1900, 31 states required children to attend school from the ages of 8 to 14. As a result, by 1910, 72% of American children attended school. Half the nation's children attended one-room schools. In 1918, every state required students to complete elementary school. In 1954, the Supreme Court in Brown versus Board of Education unanimously declared that separate facilities were unconstitutional and desegregation began. Please write down the answer in your notebook.
What kind of pattern is that?
The correct answer for this text is chronological.
Everybody knew that because it went about dates. Who got that right?
Text
Time
number
order.
3,
Okay.
have a great day. There is more than one way to have a successful school day, but a great way is to be well prepared. The first thing you should do is complete your homework the night before. Don't try to do your work in the morning. It will be too stressful and you may not have enough time. Next, you will need to go to bed at a reasonable time. If you stay up too late, you will not be able to focus on assignments or instruction as well, and you may even fall asleep during class. Lastly, you should wake up early. This will give you time to get ready and feel good about yourself, and you'll also be able to get something to eat before the day begins. So remember, one way to have a successful school day is to do your homework the night before, go to bed early, and wake up early. Have a great day. Correct answer to this text is sequence. Text number 4, attendance. Having good attendance is important because attendance determines the school's funding. Some students have poor attendance, and the school has tried many ways of addressing this. Teachers have talked to parents on the phone, and the school has mailed letters. Yet some students still maintain poor attendance. Next, the staff will attempt to schedule parent-teacher administrator conferences with students who are habitually absent. Hopefully, this will help more students get to school every day. Please write the answer down in your notebook. The correct answer to text number 4 is problem and solution. Text number 5, are charter schools harder schools? These days, students and their caretakers have more choices when it comes to selecting a public school. In addition to the traditional neighborhood schools, charter schools have popped up in major cities across the country. Both charter schools and neighborhood schools fill traditional roles like providing instruction, serving lunch and other meals, and administering the state tests. But charter schools and neighborhood schools differ in many important ways. One key difference is the amount of time students spend in school. In Chicago, students who attend neighborhood schools do so for around 180 days in a year, and each day is slightly over 6 hours long. On the contrary, students who attend charter schools do so for around 200 days in a year, and most charter school days over 8 hours long. While both neighborhood and charter schools provide free public education to students meeting enrollment criteria, students who attend charter schools spend much more time in class. Please jot down the answer to text number 5.
And I know you know that's easy peasy.
The correct answer is compare and contrast.
Absolutely.
This now ends your note session for text structure, also known as organizational patterns.
Okay, who got 5 out of 5? 4 out of 5?
Got 4 out of 5.
Good. 3 out of 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So we missed 2. And I bet you I know which ones you missed too. That one about, because sequence and chronological order are just about the same. But you have to go in order with your sequential or time order. So it may be chronological, time order, or sequence. And you had to look at that separately to see when they occurred, particularly the one that's talked about the school day and first you do this and all that kind of a thing. Okay. Now I want to go and start your notes. It is 12:12. We might get out a little early, but I got to finish this because, again, I want you to review this stuff. This is just not just busy work. You got to review it and learn it because I'm going to assess you on organizational patterns. They're not that difficult. Well, I say they're not difficult, but here are the things for your writing, and we won't go to all of them today. I'm going to start you off. And this you are going to have to write word for word. So this is about the different types of paragraphs and essays. And you're going to go over I think it's 9, it may be more, but it's different words I tried to tell you. And these are the things that you need to know. Not only do you need to know the type of paragraph or essay it is, you need to know what makes a good paragraph, that particular paragraph. So I know in your textbook is talking about narration in that chapter, and I think it gives you an example of the ones that we're talking about. So we're going to do probably just this page, and we'll do the second page on Monday. So the first thing you're going to write is narration, the types of paragraphs and essays. Just put types of paragraph in the / essays. The first one that your chapter talks about is narration. And the narration paragraph or essay, it tells the story about an event or an experience. And it's generally written in first person. You have a narrator. But anyway, narration tells the story of an event or an experience. And these are the 4 basics of writing a good narrative, a narrative paragraph or a narrative essay. 1, and all of them will have 4. 1, it has to reveal something that is important to you, and you're going to practice writing one next week. 2, it includes all the major events of the story, which will be your primary support and 3, it brings the story to life with minor details about the major events. So here we go, talking about our major details and our minor details. And then 4, that was 3. And 4, it presents the information in a clear order, usually according to when it happened. So that's the 4 basics of writing a good narrative paragraph or essay. These are the things you should be aware of when you're writing. So the second type of paragraph or essay is called exemplification or illustration. That means you're going to give examples. So exemplification or illustration means writing that gives examples. And there are 4 basics to writing a good illustration or exemplification paragraph or essay. First of all, number 1, you have to make a point. Number 2, you have to give specific examples that show, explain, or prove the point. And then 3, you have to give details to support these examples. And 4, you need to use enough examples to fully illustrate your point. So it says it uses enough examples to get the writer's point across. So those are the overall 4 basics of writing a good illustration or exemplification paragraph or essay. The next one is description, and we all already know what a descriptive paragraph does. It describes something using very vivid language. So it's writing that creates pictures in words. So based on the vivid language that you use or the colorful language that you use, you are able to, the reader is able to imagine or make a mental picture in his or her mind. So with that being said, the 4 basics of writing a good descriptive paragraph include: 1, it expresses a main impression or an overall effect, feeling, or image about the topic. 2, it uses, again, specific examples to support the main impression. 3, it supports those examples with, I want to call, sensory details. But you write just what you see on the screen. It's sensory details, deals with our 5 senses, which is sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Sensory detail. And number 4, based on the vivid language that you use, it brings a person, place, or physical object to life for the reader. Okay, the next type of paragraph or essay is called process analysis, or you may just have seen the word process. So you know, process means a series of steps. So this is a paragraph that tells you how to do something, explains the stages of something, the sequence of something, the steps of something. So a process analysis paragraph or essay explains how things happen, the steps, the stages, etc. Therefore, the 4 basics of a good process analysis essay or paragraph is: 1, it tells the reader what process you want them to know about and makes a point about it. Say you are writing about the writing process that I use all the time because this is a writing class. So it presents the essential steps. That's number 2. It presents the essential steps in the process. so that the reader can do the process themselves or understand how something works. So in the case of the writing process, you already know that it begins with pre-writing strategies. You may use a number of strategies like brainstorming, clustering, writing a list, journaling, that kind of a thing. And then it explains the steps. So you would say the pre-writing, then you use your ideas, you put it in a rough draft. You may write 1 or 2 rough drafts or 3 or 4, depending on how your ideas, you generate your ideas. You go back and you revise it. So it says number 3, you would explain the steps in detail. So you'd explain what happens at the pre-writing stage, what happens at the draft stage, what happens at the revising stage. You go back and look for content changes. And then number 4, it talks about proofreading. So you are going back and looking at your ideas as well as your word choice. Look at your grammar. You want to correct your punctuation. That's what you would do at that step. And then it says number 4, it presents the steps in a logical order, usually time or chronological order. However, in the writing process, it's a fluid continuum. So yes, we want to start with our pre-writing ideas and generating ideas for the paper, but we may go back and forth. It's a fluid continuum because we'll get something down and think we're finished, and we might get to the proofreading stage, say, nah, I don't like this idea, and go back and make some changes in your draft. So it's a fluid. You can go back and forth along the continuum after you get your ideas down. So you would explain that, but generally you're going to talk about a process, the steps involved or the stages involved, and you're going to put them in a logical order. And I think that I'm going to stop here and pick this up. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see how much I got to do. Well, we can go on and finish this one. Classification and division is writing that sorts things into groups. I talked about this before. It was in your handout, and you know that you will have a broad category and you will talk about the items specific to that category. And I used the example about cherries, apples, so you know the category was fruit, and also cars, and you could do insects. You can do any number of things, but you're going to have your broad category. And then underneath that, you're going to have specific items that are germane to that category. So classification and division is writing that sorts things into groups. And the 4 basics of writing a good classification and division paragraph is 1, it makes sense of a group of people or items by organizing them into categories. Everybody got that? Now I'm going to go to the second one. The second thing is it uses a single organizing principle. The third thing is it applies useful categories. And then the 4th basic is it gives examples of what fits into each category. Okay? So I think we're going to go on and finish that, and then we'll be done for today. So another type of paragraph that you run into in your textbook specifically, particularly your English textbook and others, is a definition paragraph, which is really easy because you usually know what it's talking about because the definition will be bolded or italicized or it may be in a different color. You have such keywords as this term refers to, it lets you know that it is defining a specific term or concept. So a definition paragraph says it's writing that tells what something means. That's generally pretty easy. And the 4 basics of writing a good definition paragraph are: it tells the reader what is being defined. Like it does in your textbook, it will have those terms bold print, in bold print as I'm reading your textbook, and if you notice that. Number 2, it will present a clear and precise basic definition. Okay? The second thing when you write a definition paragraph is you will use examples. That's where your minor details come into play to show what the writer means. The whole purpose of your minor details is to further explain or clarify the major details of the paragraph. And the 4th basic is it gives details about the examples that we as readers will need to understand. So that's the 4 basics of writing a definition paragraph. And the next one is comparison and contrast. I've already talked about it, but this is further information that you need to have in your notes. It's writing that shows the similarities, which is comparing, and differences, which is contrast. So here are the basics of writing a good comparison and contrast paragraph or essay. And that is, 1, it uses subjects, typically 2, because you're going to compare at least 2 or more things that have enough in common to be compared or contrasted in a useful way. So you got to have enough information to distinguish between 2 or more items, either how they are alike or how they are different. Number 2, it serves a purpose, either to help the readers make a decision or to help them understand the particular subjects you are comparing or contrasting. Number 3, it will present several important parallel points of comparison or contrast. And 4, it will arrange the points in a logical organization if you are comparing. Just like the example they gave in the video about comparing charter schools with regular public schools. They talked about the differences. The differences and similarities between attending that charter school versus the public school. So the next type of paragraph, the basics that you'll need to know, because you're going to refer to this when you're writing your paragraph, is cause and effect. And cause and effect paragraph is writing that explains reasons and results, just like was mentioned in the paragraph about the war, the causes and the effects. So what are the 4 basics of writing good cause and effect paragraphs? Number 1, it makes clear early on whether you are writing about cause, effects, or both. So you're going to start off telling what it is. Number 2, it will discuss the real causes. So that's like factual evidence, fact statistics, okay? Not just something that happened. It will lead up to all of the circumstances surrounding what caused a particular event to happen. It will discuss the real effects, that's the results, number 3, not just something that happened after another event. So you're going to talk about the ramifications of the effect that happened as a result of that cause. What precipitated it and what was the overall effect of that action. And number 4, it will give clear and detailed examples of the causes and effects. And the argument is the one you really going to practice, because when you go to English 119 and or English 120, you're definitely going to have to know how to make an argument. You're going to be discussing the pros and the cons. You're going to be making a claim, take a position, and you're going to have to support that position. And then you're going to have to provide a counter argument, refutation, refute that argument based on what the other side is, as well as the conclusion. So it's very important that you understand how to write an argumentative paragraph or an argumentative essay, because you will have to do that in your English 119. All freshman comp classes focus on argumentative writing because they want students to research, take a position, and explain the position, explain the counter argument, and sum it up based on your research. So an argumentative paragraph or essay seeks to persuade, okay? It seeks to persuade. It's going to present a point or a claim, and it's going to support the claim. So the 4 bases of writing a good argumentative paragraph or essay include the following. 1, it takes a strong and definite position on an issue or advises a particular course of action. 2, it gives good reasons and supporting evidence to defend the position or recommended action. So in other words, you can't just, it's not subjective. You have to provide evidence, facts, statistics, studies, etc. You have to provide textual evidence to support your claim. And then 3, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to consider the opposing view or the counter arguments, okay? And then finally, you're going to have a concluding paragraph as a result of explaining your claims, supporting your claims, writing the counter argument, taking the other side, refuting that, and then summing it all up from start to finish. So that's a very important, you have to really study that one well, because argumentative writing is definitely going to be the focal point in English 119. And I'm sure you all wrote argumentative essays in your English class in high school. Did everybody get this information down in their notes?
Almost done.
Okay.
All right, I'm all set.
All right. Okay. So it's 12:36, and I am going to let you go a little bit earlier because we went straight through and I didn't give you a break. But I do want to encourage you to make sure that you get your homework done, that when you are doing those, because I've looked at some of the quick check grades and I see some 40s and 60s, and that should not be, because I have strongly emphasized, please read the chapter more than one time and look at the examples. They give you good examples in your textbook, and then do the exercises in your book. You have all the time you need to do the exercises in the book first before you go and put the answers on Blackboard. So you should not be getting under 70s when you have your textbook. But if you don't take the time to read and reread, that's what you're going to get. We're at the halfway mark next week. You got to really kick it up a notch. You really got to kick it up a notch and stay on top of your homework. Yes, Miss Clark.
Miss Dr. Wilson, did you put in my introductory points yet?
I didn't do it yet, but that one grade is not going to flunk you, but I am, because you're going to stay on me. I will make sure I give you that 90 points. I want you to have it. Okay?
Thank you.
No, don't let me forget. When you see it, you'll say, thank you, Dr. Wilson. You did exactly what you said. Yeah, but I'm going to take the time to try and go through and see if I can check out your videos and get your points in for that. Because like I said, that's going to be 4 grades that you can get an A on if you do them without the struggle of really having to learn and remember the concepts. Again, note that I'm going to test you on organizational patterns next Monday, as well as a review of fragments. I'm not going to go over it again, but it's in your textbook. It's going to be free, fair game, because I'm telling you in advance. Okay? So with that said, have a good weekend. Make sure you get your work done so you can enjoy your weekend, okay? Try to get it all done. Technology glitches happen all the time, so you want to be proactive, because I'm not going to change the grade because you say, oh, my computer went down, Dr. Wilson. Can't do anything about that. So please try to be proactive instead of reactive. And enjoy this weather. Get your work done so you can enjoy this wonderful warm weather, okay? Any questions? Yes, Miss Clark. You have any
I
questions?
think that was from earlier. No, that was from earlier.
Okay, well, have a good weekend. See everybody Monday.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.